Sports here live on a Tuesday, talking NFL draft once again, but diving deeper and more specifically into the Tennessee Titans. I kind of had this moment yesterday that just kind of hit me in the face, Zach, where I was like, the Titans have an easy decision, in my opinion, when it comes to the position they should take in the first round of the draft, and we'll discuss that. I think they have 3 slam dunk options with this position group, and then there's another guy who would be another great add to the Titans offense. We'll talk about Titans wide receiver options, and really we'll kind of pin these guys up against each other and try to find the perfect fit for the Titans to add the wide receiver to complement A.J. Brown in this offense, to replace Corey Davis, to keep up with the explosiveness that they've had the last couple of years with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown. So, Zach, very looking forward to our wide receiver discussion today. So we're going to talk about 4 of these guys, and we're going to pin, and we put up polls on our Twitter, Terrace Marshall Jr. versus Rashad Bateman, and then we've got a conversation, Kadarius Toney versus Elijah Moore. So outside wide receivers and the slot wide receivers pinned against each other, so we'll talk about them. Then we've got the BetMGM odds, the betting odds for which position the Titans will take in the first round. I've got a strategy to make some money in this. We'll talk about that, but I do find it very interesting. And there's a wild card in the betting odds that we'll talk about as well. And it is Tuesday. So Tuesday sports trivia to end the show. We are at a solid 74% after last week. So we're doing okay. We need an 8-2 day today to bring that percentage up. So ending the day with sports trivia. Welcome in, everybody. I hope you're having a good start to your Tuesday. Zach, let's get it going.
Yeah, we got a lot to discuss as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft. One of, I think, NFL fans' favorite times of year. That's why the NFL does such a great job of promoting their product 365 days a year. We're right on the horizon. That's great. April 20th, we're chugging right along. We got a lot to discuss. The Titans trying to improve their team for this upcoming season. But before we get into today's show on a Titans Tuesday, we do want you guys to share the show, share the broadcast. We're broadcasting live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and on Facebook. Make sure you retweet us into your Twitter followers timeline, into that feed, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. A lot of people that have gone to our YouTube channel to subscribe, they watch and digest the show that way, and they interact. Look, we see these YouTube comments. So go make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to our channel. It will give you live notifications, which is very, very important when it comes to this year's NFL draft and the coverage that Austin, myself, and Buck Rising will be a part of. We got a lot of big plans coming up here in about a week and a half. Also, Facebook, what's going on, Facebookers? More people will pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. As you guys do, please share the show. Sharing is caring. Caring is sharing. Bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. That is share now to public. On a Tuesday, let's get this party started.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by BetMGM. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports, Instagram, YouTube, like Zach was just saying, a lot more interaction on YouTube these days, and Twitch, and all over the Facebook as well, as we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it all happen for our show, for our business, and for you guys. Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the area at renterswarehouse.com. Mandu, the pulse of fitness, where one 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com, your first workout is free. Wilson County Hyundai for your next car. Head them out to Lebanon, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Calvin and Settle for your brand new hardwood floors and finishings. They are at CalvinandSettle.com. And the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. So, Zach, I have been team draft a wide receiver for a long time. And I think ever since, like, the calendar turned to March, I have been all about Minnesota's Rashad Bateman. Like, that guy just feels like a great fit for the Titans offense to me. Now there's these other guys, Terrace Marshall Jr. from LSU, Kadarius Toney from Florida, explosive athletes. Marshall's got the size. Tony's got the gadget skill set, the slippery and open space, the yards after the catch. And then you have Elijah Moore, who is the undersized guy who has crept up the draft board and is now seen as a solid pick at 22 overall if the Titans decide to go that direction. So 4 wide receivers. I think there are 3 slam dunks out of this group. I think Bateman, Marshall, and Tony are slam dunks at 22 overall out of this. Elijah Moore, a slight reach, but still, I like the idea of Elijah Moore in this Titans offense. Ole Miss guys, A.J. Brown, Elijah Moore at wide receiver to do some special things in the passing game. So I think there's a lot of really good options. And to me, you can't whiff on any of these guys. Like, there's question marks about the edge rush.
Austin, don't say something stupid. You play the odds. So one of these 4 guys will not do well in the NFL. So that was dumb. You should take that back. Retract that comment. You can whiff on that. And somebody will whiff on this. So that was wrong. So do you want to rephrase?
If there's a guy most likely to whiff, I think it's probably the 2 smaller guys. I think Bateman and Marshall are great picks. And I think those guys will be productive immediately. I think Tony and Moore require more coaching and X's and O's scheme to help them be successful than Bateman and Marshall. I'll say it that way. Is that okay? Is that better?
That's better, right? So you can whiff on one of these 4 guys, and somebody will. It's about the Titans not whiffing. And look, the reason why the title of the show today is what it is the Titans have got to find the perfect replacement for really not only Corey Davis, but also Jonnu Smith. That's a lot of weight on a first-round pick shoulders, right? If they are going to draft a wide receiver, and they will not be able to draft any of these 4 guys where they are picking in the second round. They're just all going to be gone. They have a top 3 tier wide receiver at the top of the draft, and we all know with Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and the other Alabama wide receiver, Waddle. Those guys are going to be gone. That's the first 3 that will be off the board. But this next tier is kind of where we're talking about today. And A.J. Brown can only do so much. Derrick Henry can only do so much. This is going to be a lot of pressure on whoever they draft to come in and make an impact right away. Look, I know they've gone out and look, they cut Adam Humphries. That was a smart move. And they've let the tight end, the wide receiver that I just alluded to, in Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis walk. This is a lot of pressure for a guy. They're in a Super Bowl window. They got to make the playoffs. They got to come out and hit, kind of like, and I'm not saying on the same level, but Justin Jefferson is the prototypical guy that you want to perform at that same level. They had Adam Thielen, who was a dynamite wide receiver, and Jefferson complimented Thielen so well. And they had Kirk Cousins throwing the ball. Ryan Tannehill had a hell of a lot better year than Kirk Cousins. This is a massive draft pick if they decide to go wide receiver at 22 overall.
Yeah, so back to where I was going before we get off on the tangent of, you're right, the blanket statement of all 4 guys are slam dunks. That's probably not the smartest thing to say. So I do think when you're looking at the wide receivers we're talking about today, I feel more confident that those guys will be successful and productive in the NFL compared to Jalen Phillips and his injury history out of Miami as an edge rusher, or Ojulari out of Georgia, who has a high motor. He's got some explosiveness, but he's undersized. And can he win in the NFL at a pass rush level? Or even Caleb Farley, who we're talking about with the back issues, or Greg Newsome the third, who's the corner out of Northwestern. Like, when's the last time you've trusted a Northwestern defensive back to come in and be productive in the NFL? It's just something that doesn't happen that often. I think Greg Newsome's talented. He's not very good in the run game, and we know how the Titans prefer their corners to be active in the run game. So I like the wide receivers better than the other options in the first round at 22 overall. And like you brought up, Justin Jefferson, he was the offensive rookie of the year last year in the NFL as the number 22 overall pick a year ago out of LSU. Now, and he was not even the star receiver of that bunch at LSU. That was Jamar Chase. Now you're talking about Terrace Marshall Jr. at LSU, who is behind both Chase and Jefferson, who 2 years ago caught 13 touchdowns as the third best option, which is absurd of what they were doing at LSU in 2019 with Joe Burrow in the national title game. So, Zach, let's go ahead and get to this. Let's break these 4 wide receivers down and talk about them and talk about the outside wide receivers and Bateman and Marshall and go between them. And then after that, we'll talk about Tony versus Elijah Moore. So here's the first question. Which wide receiver is a better fit for the Titans? Is it Terrace Marshall Jr. or Rashad Bateman? Marshall Jr. versus Rashad Bateman. But first, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute. BoneandJointTN.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever that injury happens in life for you or someone you love, make sure you know who to go to, who to trust with the entire process of your healing. And that's from the very beginning to the clinics, the testing, the imaging, and the surgery, all the way through the rehab process. BoneandJointTN.org is where to go.
So we're running a poll. We ran a poll on Twitter before the show.
Right.
We're running a poll on Facebook and also comment in the comment section. We're going all in on this question because look, wide receiver, a very sexy position that everybody wants to talk about. We want to get as many opinions as we possibly can today and leading up to the draft of Rashad Bateman and Terrace Marshall Jr., who both big wide receivers, closer to Corey Davis than to Adam Humphries. That's kind of the easiest analogy that I can put out there. Right. But there's a lot. Look, these 2 wide receivers can impact. There's a reason why they are picked to go in the first round. I think it's a great question, and I think the Titans are definitely looking at both of these guys at 22 overall. We got to also see where the draft lands. Both of them may not be there. One of them may be there. One of them may not. I don't know how the draft is going to fall, but these 2, I think, would be stellar additions, right? They will help their team, the Titans team, at least, if drafted in the first round.
All right, so let's go ahead and go to the chat. So the first question of today is Bateman versus Marshall. It's the outside guys, right? Which do you like better for the Titans? Ramon says Bateman. We'll talk about the slot guys here in a second. Tommy says, I'd rather go cornerback or the edge of the first round. We've had a lot of the conversations about that, but today, focusing on the wide receivers. Ronnie says Bateman scheme-wise. Greg goes Bateman. Brent says Bateman. Jeff says, I went with Marshall. I like Bateman, though. Big Ten Jeff, you got to stand up for your Big Ten guy up there in Minnesota. Steven says Terrace Marshall Jr., no doubt. Titans Kyle says Bateman. D says Marshall. Hey, P-Money over there on Twitch says Bateman. Braden on YouTube says Bateman. Nate with Bateman. Donald says Bateman is more versatile, but I'd rather have Marshall. So you like the versatility of Bateman, but you go with Marshall. I find that very interesting from Donald. Surester says, I see them getting Marshall, but I like Bateman more. So Chris Frazier says Marshall, and there's his answer on the next question too. Teron Davenport, our guy from ESPN, says Bateman, he can play the slot or outside, catches everything clean, and gets yak. We know 2 things Zach Bingham likes in wide receivers. Hands catchers and yak, right? Yak. Get that yards after the catch. That's all you want, right? John Robinson just wants you to get open and catch a football. Zach wants you to catch it with your hands away from your body and then do more after that, right?
Go upfield. Don't run out of crossing route Corey, run out of bounds. I want you to go to the pylon. And that's the mindset that I want from my wide receiver if I'm drafting him in the first round. Here's another thing about John Robinson. He can't miss. We've talked about this. We corrected the statement earlier, but, you can't whiff. Like the Titans.
They can't afford to, yeah.
Can't whiff. They've whiffed last year, and they're not going to get Isaiah Wilson ain't going to get back. He's gone. He's in La La Land or some other world. But they have got to make this pick correct. And I don't know, there's a lot of pressure on the Titans organization. They're not very good at drafting wide receivers. Now, A.J. Brown is kind of the anomaly.
He's the exception to the rule.
But,
right?
Number 5 overall, Corey Davis was not a very good draft pick. It was a bust draft pick for a 5 overall pick. Taywan Taylor, not
awful.
Good.
Right.
Tajay Sharp, They got some value out of a 5th-round pick, but overall, I don't even know if Tajay Sharp's in the league anymore, right?
He signed with the Chiefs, actually.
He was back and forth, but he ain't playing, right? So he's sitting on the
just
sideline.
signed with the Chiefs. But
he's not playing, though. Look at what he did last year or what he didn't do for the Vikings.
Year, Tajay did not play for the Vikings very much, which was weird.
And I don't expect him to play for the Chiefs very much this upcoming year. Okay. I'd be surprised if he made the open day roster. So that kind of goes to that. He's a 5th-round pick. The Titans got value out of him, whatever. Kenny Britt, no good. Kendall Wright, bust. 1st-round bust. The list goes on and on for what the Titans have tried to do with a 1st-round wide receiver. A.J. Brown was a 2nd-round wide receiver. They don't have a very good history. So they have got – but here's the thing, Austin. A.J. Brown hit 1K. If they can get another guy that hits, the history really doesn't matter.
But they don't even need a 1K guy. Like, they've already got that. Like, that's the thing with this is, like, obviously they need to hit on this wide receiver if this is the direction they go, but they don't need them to be the 1,000-yard guy. A.J. Brown is going to get all the attention. He needs 85 targets or more this upcoming season. He needs to go for 3 consecutive 1K and double-digit touchdowns, all that. They just need the guy who's around 900 yards and maybe threatening to go 1K, not even in his rookie year, but just down the road. And I think my answer, and have you answered the question yet?
No, I was going to read the polls because we're running. You read the comments. So Here are the polls that we threw out there. We just put this out about 30 minutes ago. So for this particular question between Bateman and Marshall, on Twitter, there's a little over 120 votes. 67.5% go with Rashad Bateman over Marshall Jr. on Twitter. Our live Facebook poll is actually very similar to that. We've got about a little over 70 votes live that was put out literally maybe 3 minutes ago. Rashad Bateman, 71%. Terrence Marshall Jr., 28%. So you can kind of see that. I featured it on the Facebook page. So the live results are kind of rolling. It's Bateman. I mean, Bateman's winning by a good margin in the polls. Austin, I assume you're going to agree with the fans.
Yeah, Rashad Bateman's my guy. Like that. That's just he's my draft crush. I kind of fell in love with the idea of Rashad Bateman next to A.J. Brown in this offense because I feel like he is I'm not saying he is Corey Davis or A.J. Brown, but he's a good combination of both of their skill sets where he's got breakaway speed. We've seen that. And the funny thing is Rashad Bateman tested the slowest out of all the 4 we're talking about. Marshall, Tony, and Moore.
Is that concerning?
They're all in the 4.3s. That's just elite speed, right? Rashad Bateman was 4.41. So is it concerning? No.
Well, AJ Brown, he's not the same.
Zach, AJ Brown.
One of these Zach, people are different.
AJ Brown ran a 4.5. So he's fast. He's plenty fast.
AJ Brown was a 2nd-round pick.
I don't care, but does AJ Brown slow?
You're comparing a 2nd-round pick to a 1st-round pick.
Zach, I'm talking about
that's apples and oranges.
I'm not comparing them as wide receivers. I'm talking about 40 times specifically and how it's ironic
and where they're drafted.
Zach, stop, dude. Rashad Bateman just happens to be the slowest of the 4. That's just the wild situation that this wide receiver draft class is in. There's so much speed in this draft class, but I think Bateman fits the Titans offense the best because of his route trees that he could run. He could both play the outside and the slot. He could be that motion guy that they use Corey Davis a lot for and have A.J. Brown as the X on the outside. I think Rashad Bateman makes the most sense compared to Terrace Marshall Jr.
Here's a question that I do not know. I'm just going to ask this. Maybe you know. Who is the better blocker?
I don't know that.
Because I think the Titans would value that.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
That was the whole thing on Corey Davis. If Corey Davis was a bad blocker, my God, I mean, he'd be trash. He wouldn't be worth $12.5 million. I didn't think he was in the first place, but that was the one thing that Titans fans justified being okay with CD84 on the field is because he was, and I'll give him credit, he was a very good downfield blocker. He saw the play through. He played through the whistle. That's valued when Derrick Henry is outrunning corners and safeties to the end zone. That's why I asked that question. I don't know who is a better blocker.
I think they're probably both willing blockers. I mean, Marshall's a bigger body. He's absolutely 6'3", 215-ish or so. Bateman's a little smaller, 6 foot, but Bateman, I think, plays. I view Bateman as more of a physical guy, but I think they're both willing blockers. And blocking as a wide receiver is all about, are you willing to get in there and get dirty? And Corey Davis absolutely was. Are these guys? I don't know. I haven't been able to see that. LSU throws the ball a lot. Bateman in Minnesota, I don't watch every Minnesota game like I do LSU games, but I absolutely think that those guys are probably capable of being solid blockers in the NFL.
All right, I'll ask you this. Is there any concern based on Bateman not playing the full year this past season?
No. I mean, it was just a weird year, right? Like you chalk it up to what it was, and you don't dock the guy. I mean, he had to make a decision.
You don't dock the guy of coming in and out?
No,
didn't he opt out and he opted back in and he opted back out?
Well, because the Big Ten was an absolute mess, right? Like,
well, what does that matter? Did everybody do that? The Big Ten was the mess. Did every single player do that? No,
but
they didn't opt in, opt out, opt in.
I'm judging anybody for deciding to play or not to play last year. Like
you don't judge. You don't have an opinion on that?
I don't care. It doesn't affect their NFL prospect. It doesn't matter to me at all in the NFL if they played last year or opted out. It doesn't matter to me.
So I'm actually going against you and the chat in this. I'm actually a Marshall Jr. guy by a slight margin. If they drafted either of those guys, I'm not going to be like, oh, terrible pick, right? Like, or great pick. That was the right decision.
And Tron's right, Zach. Rashad Bateman did have COVID. He did have COVID for some period of time. So that's why he was kind of in and out, back and forth.
I asked the question. I like the size in replacing Corey Davis with Marshall Jr. I think both are solid picks. I just tend to go with size and speed, and that's what Terrace Marshall Jr. has over Bateman. I agree. Bateman can play more positions, but I think that the Titans will draft 2 wide receivers in this draft. I think, yeah. Right? So I would like to pick the one guy that's going to play outside, that's long, that's fast, that can extend the field. This is the one thing that I think Marshall Jr. can do better than Bateman is A.J. Brown. What is his bread and butter route? Slant route, baby. Jerry Rice, right across the middle. You need a guy who can stretch the field and give that threat. And you know what? It's very similar. And this is why I compared Jefferson and Thielen's situation. Thielen's route tree, he is a great route runner. He likes over the middle routes and out routes, and Cousins can get it to him. But what Jefferson did for that offense, he extended. He gave them another threat that, let's just be honest, Corey Davis never gave them.
So you're saying Terrace Marshall Jr. can be the downfield threat to create more space underneath for the A.J. Brown.
Exactly. Okay. And I like that setup. I think that is a recipe for success because it's a triple threat, baby, right? They teach you that in grade school when you're learning basketball. Triple threat. What can you do? Dribble, shoot, and pass. You can hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. You could throw the slant route to A.J. Brown, or you could toss it up deep to Terrace Marshall Jr. I like that idea. And that's probably why I tend to go a little bit more towards Marshall Jr.
I just think Terrace Marshall also has a significant injury history. He broke a bone in his foot. He had a couple other injuries at LSU.
They drafted Corey Davis after ankle surgery. The writing's on the wall that they don't.
And you're over here calling Corey Davis a bust all the time. So do you want to draft another guy like that?
They drafted Jeffrey Simmons with an ACL.
I'm just saying.
What happened to Jeffrey Simmons? Do you want to compare that?
Well, an ACL
the point that I was saying, the point is that they're not afraid to draft guys that have been injured. Now, I do think that it is something. You got to bring it up. That's one of the reasons why I'm out on the corner for Virginia Tech, because of a back. A back is more serious. A neck is more serious. It's something to look at.
A broken bone in your foot is something that might have issues down the road, right? Foot injuries are not very fun to deal with, right?
And they're going to have to do their due diligence. Yes. He also played after that.
I know, but again,
at a very high clip.
Yes, Right. It's the same
and ran
thing.
a 4.3 something with that foot.
I just think for me, I'm just bringing it up, dude. Like that's something that happens in the draft process is you recognize when a player has an injury history, right? And you have to take that into some type of consideration. So I don't know why you're laughing this off that I brought up that he has injury history, because you should have done the same thing. You would have done the same thing if I picked Marshall over Bateman and you disagreed.
I just brought up the points of how he has kind of overcame that injury and what he's performed afterwards. It's not like a back surgery a month ago.
Okay, so
a little bit different.
All right, the reason why I like Bateman, the separator, like what separates Rashad Bateman from Marshall is that Rashad Bateman can do a lot of the things that Terrace Marshall can. The deep balls, the go routes, the go up and get the football. He's not nearly as tall as Marshall. The speed is comparable, but Marshall's a longer strider, so the long speed kind of gives Marshall a little advantage there. But Bateman gives you so much more. Like you cannot be a one or two trick more. You cannot be a one or two trick pony when it comes to your route tree in the NFL, and Marshall is more of that, where Bateman can do it all. Bateman has a full route tree now and will be able to help A.J. Brown and be that complement on the outside.
Do you need a full route tree now? I don't think necessarily you do, because you've got A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry and the setup of the offense, and old Ferk dog catching third down passes.
I mean, do you need a full route tree? That's the question you asked.
Right now. I said right now. So that's not the question I asked. Just like I didn't say I wasn't thinking about Aaron Donald in the shower. I was out of the shower when I was thinking of Aaron Donald. So you're wrong.
Zach, I'm asking the separator. What separates these guys? Because I like both. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be – if they draft Marshall, I'm not going to be upset whatsoever. I'm not. But the separator and why I take Bateman over Marshall is because of the route tree, of the full route tree. If I had the option of a full route tree and a half route tree, I'm going to go full route tree. But I'm okay with Terrace Marshall. Like, do you understand that point, the context that I'm talking about this?
Okay, so let's move forward. At the beginning of the show, you said there were 3 slam dunks. Well, we're talking about 4 wide receivers. So let's find out which guy is not a slam dunk in the eyes of Mr. Austin Stanley. This is a great question, because we've talked about 2 big wide receivers. Now we're talking about 2 smaller speedsters that can do different things.
Yep, Kadarius Toney versus Elijah Moore. Who is a better fit for the Titans? But first, Zach, tell everybody about Calvin and Subtle.
Yeah, Calvin and Subtle is where you need to go to get your new hardwood floors. We feature these things on the show every single day. We're picking the Rivoli. It's one of my favorite ones. Let's see. I've got a couple more. I'm going to be special to you guys. As draft day gets closer, I'm going to pull out some new hardwood floors and feature this. This is the Rivoli. This thing pops in your kitchen. It'll completely transform your life, your kids' lives. They'll remember this for the rest of their lives. Be like, man, remember when mom and dad put in those Rivoli hardwood floors back in the day? They're just that made that house so much more special. It's the house that they grew up in. Well, you can make that a reality by calling 615-448-6414 or go online to calvinandsubtle.com. They will order the material and install 1 to 2 weeks. That's all it takes. This is quick, really quick. Right around the mid-state area, that's the best part. They will service that. Middle Tennessee, 615-448-6414 or online at calvinandsubtle.com.
It is esports. We are powered by BetMGM, the king of sports books. Download the app, use it today, sign up, and use the code ATOZ Sports. With your first deposit and your first bet, you get a risk-free $600 bet when you use that code ATOZ Sports. Hey, me and my guy Hugh downloaded the app yesterday because I talked about the NBA parlay that I had in the hopper yesterday morning. Well, me and Hugh wrote it together, and guess who came out victorious? Me and my guy Hugh, because we got the Wizards, we got the Grizzlies over, because that went to double overtime, and we got that. We hit our 3-leg parlay with the NBA last night. Big winners right there, plus 200 parlay. Gotta love it. So BetMGM, that's where to go. Download the app. Use our code ATOZ Sports to get a risk-free bet up to $600 for your first deposit and your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years or older, must be present in Tennessee. And for gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. So we've talked about the big guys, right? We've talked about Bateman and Marshall on the outside. Now let's discuss the slot receivers. You've got Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss and Kadarius Toney out of Florida, the two other SEC products to go along with Marshall from LSU. So, Zach, I'll send you to the comment section. Moore versus Toney. What are the people saying?
So let's go to the polls first. And we did this for a reason, and I'll refresh so we get all of the votes in on Twitter. Our Twitter poll now almost to 200 votes. 84% Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss, only 16% for Kadarius Toney. Facebook poll running just literally seconds ago. We've got about 40 live votes on Facebook alone. 81% Elijah Moore, 19% Kadarius Toney. And if you look at the comments, a lot of it is Moore. And Rob, man, this is bad. Toney kind of reminds me of Kendall Wright.
That's not true. I do not see that whatsoever. I mean, do you?
No, I do
not see that comp at all. Like Kendall Wright at Baylor was running go routes like that, and Kadarius Toney does so many things. He throws the damn ball, but Kadarius Toney runs all these underneath things that create separation. So that comp is something that I completely throw out the window.
So you said there were 3 slam dunks.
Yeah.
But we're talking about 4 wide receivers. Who's not the slam dunk?
In my opinion, Elijah Moore is not the slam dunk. I like Elijah Moore. And again, like I said with Marshall, if the Titans draft Elijah Moore, I'm not going to be disappointed. But I do think Elijah Moore with big 5'7", like you have to have the right coaching and play calling around Elijah Moore for him to maximize his skill set in the NFL.
So Elijah Moore, and I'll give credit where credit is due. I think the best description for Moore right here, and it comes from our man TD. Elijah Moore, polished as a wide receiver. And you talk about that position. You talked about the route tree of what Bateman could do. Yeah. At his size, you can get away with more, right? Because you're bigger, you're faster, you're stronger. That's just who you are. Elijah Moore has got to be good and has to be polished at what he does because of the position he plays and the skill set he has. And then TD also brings up Toney's drops that we cannot just kind of slough over. You know where I am. Surprise, surprise. I'm going with Elijah Moore. That would be you talk about a slam dunk. I'm talking about an alley-oop slam. That's the kind of dunk that Elijah Moore would be. And I think you're going to get value. I think you're going to, you could say, reach for him because he started as a kind of a second round talk over the last several weeks, but has moved up the board, just kind of like Mac Jones has done in recent weeks. I think you get a guy that can come in there and be dynamic with A.J. Brown. I like Marshall Jr. because of the role he fits in where they need to go. But you're going to draft 2 wide receivers. I keep reminding everybody, right?
Yeah, so I agree.
This is one of 2. I think Elijah Moore, he will be 10 times, well, let's just say 10 million times, 30 million times better than Adam Humphries was with the Tennessee Titans.
36 million.
Yeah, add that 6.
Yeah. So I think we're talking about 4 years, 36 million, 9 a year. We talk about like my slam dunks are talking about the first round draft. Like if they're at 22 overall, that's where I think there's a reach on Elijah Moore. I'm curious, Zach, because we've got a poll on Twitter and a poll on Facebook, and both are over 80% for Elijah Moore. If Elijah Moore wasn't from Ole Miss, where would that percentage be? Because I think the Ole Miss connection, because of him and A.J. Brown, takes that a significant part, a lot more towards Elijah Moore. Do you disagree or agree?
For me, I'm biased. I fully admit. He went to Ole Miss. I've seen every single play that he's played.
But you're an Ole Miss fan. I'm not talking about Ole Miss fans. I'm talking about Titans fans. Titans fans are familiar with Ole Miss, but they're also very familiar with Florida because of the SEC here in the Mid-State. But because of A.J. Brown from Ole Miss, that is why Elijah Moore, Ole Miss, having Ole Miss next to his name, I think gives him at least 15% in this poll.
I think that's strong. I think that brings more of a likability to him because of that connection.
What are we talking about? We're doing a poll, and right now it's well over 80% for Elijah Moore.
But 15%, I think, is ridiculous. I think that was.
I'm still giving him a 65 to 70% chance over Tony. Like without Ole Miss attached to it, I think it's like 15%, man.
He had a better year than Tony. I mean.
Because Tony also had Kyle Pitts on that team, and Kyle Pitts and Tony, they both put up insane numbers.
And Elijah Moore just had a better year. And Elijah Moore, like the guy, I think everybody is trying to find the skill set of what Alvin Kamara brings to a team. Is he can run jet sweeps. You can throw it to him out of the backfield on screens. He can go do a small hitch route to be a check down. He can get over the middle past linebackers and get to the second level, and he can outrun guys, right? So like that is everything what I just said Alvin Kamara can do. I think Elijah Moore can do all of those. Now, can he do them at the NFL level? We will find out. But that, I think, is what the Titans are missing. And talk about the compliment to Derrick Henry, the switch up. Imagine trying to tackle a lion and then all of a sudden catch a mouse.
Yeah.
To 3 seconds later, right? Next play. That, I think, can play mind games with defenders, and I like that. And then you got the physicality of A.J. Brown bowling you over, doing everything in his power to get to the pylon. I like that setup. Plus, you're going to draft another guy probably later in the draft. And, you just picked up a wide receiver from the Rams for tiddlywinks for $1.7 million in Josh Reynolds. So I like that. Josh Reynolds, this here's the other thing. This is why I'm completely okay. Look, I've always said I think they should draft a defensive pass rusher. But if they do draft a wide receiver in the first round, Elijah Moore fits it based on what they've already done. They cut Adam Humphries and let Corey Davis go. They then replaced Corey Davis with a wide receiver, a big body wide receiver in Josh Reynolds. They have not replaced Adam Humphries. That's kind of me trying to read the tea leaves, but that's based on their actions.
Yeah. So overall in this discussion, I prefer Bateman or Marshall over Moore or Tony. That's just how I feel about it. I think
that's not the question, but
I'm not saying it is. I've answered both questions, Zach. You can't get on to me about not talking about the question when I've already answered both questions. I've answered the questions. I'm just saying as a whole, to recap the conversation about these four wide receivers, I prefer the two outside guys in Bateman overall to the slot guys in the first round, because Tony's like just a hair under 6 foot, close to 200 pounds. Then Elijah Moore is like arguably 5'9", under 180. Like that's like, can he last 17 games? Like that's
Darren Sproles lasted 17 years. You can't.
But there's not a lot of Darren Sproles out there. There's not.
I think he's done so much already to prove that he can, right? Like, and he's an ultimate team guy. This is the other thing. Again, I've said I'm biased towards Elijah Moore.
You know more about Elijah Moore, but you're also biased. I understand that.
But I do know more about him. It's the whole reason why I said what I said about A.J. Brown is because I said A.J. Brown should be drafted by the Titans because I knew what now everybody knows about A.J. Brown. I had done homework because that was my team. Elijah Moore is a very similar mindset. He's an all-in guy. I value the hell out of those people. If you have the same mindset as I talked about yesterday as me, as I don't care what it takes, voluntary, involuntary, COVID, not COVID, mask, not mask, I don't give a damn. I'm trying to win. and I'll do whatever it takes. And I want everybody behind me or in front of me or beside me to come along for the ride and do our jobs to win a Super Bowl. I don't care about any of the other BS. That's the type of mindset A.J. Brown has, and that's the type of mindset I know Elijah Moore has. That's why I value him I do.
But you know Elijah Moore has it, but you don't know if Terrence Marshall or Tony or Bateman have it. Like those guys might, you just don't know it, but you know Elijah Moore more. That's all that is, right? All you said, nobody's arguing with anything you just said, Zach. But the fact is you know more about Elijah Moore because he went to your school. You don't know if Marshall Jr. fits the same mentality.
Did the same thing with A.J. Brown, and it worked.
Okay, great. Congratulations. I'm glad that worked out so well for you. But again, I
appreciate that. Congratulations.
These four, I go Bateman, Marshall, Tony, Elijah Moore for the 22nd pick, right? If the here would be a great scenario. You trade back to 29. I don't know, with the Ravens. Get Elijah Moore at 29 and get more picks. Awesome. Do that. Do something like that. But if you're picking at 22, Bateman is my number one guy.
Yeah, and that may be a play that they try. The first three guys are going to go. Where are the next 3 to 4 going to go? And what's the value? But here's the thing, Austin. There's always a team that values a guy more, and it's kind of a shocker, right? It's like, whoa, wow, they really thought highly of that guy. I think that's going to be the Elijah Moore of this draft.
For sure. And Rob says the Ravens like Amari Rodgers. Yeah, but not to trade up to 22 to get Amari Rodgers. I mean, they might like the guy in the third round, but, that's fine and all. But I don't know who the trade partners are going to be because you don't know who's worthy of trading up for at 22 if somebody falls like that. Because I think if somebody wants to trade up to 22 for a guy who's going to fall, the Titans are probably going to take that player that falls, right? Because they have so many different needs.
Yeah, if it falls into their 4.
Sure. All right, Zach, A to Z Sports, you're live on a Tuesday. We've got the BetMGM odds. This is going to be really fun, actually. So stick around for this because they've got odds for what position the Titans will draft in the first round. And the favorite, I think, might surprise us. But first, let me tell you guys about Renters Warehouse, renterswarehouse.com, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. So many ways you can use Renters Warehouse. They can create extra cash flow for you and your family. If you want long-term equity and long-term wealth, Renters Warehouse can help you out with that. If you're currently renting and want a new property to upsize, downsize, new location, they got you at renterswarehouse.com.
It is eSports. BetMGM is the app. Code ATOZ Sports, promo code A to Z Sports. They will give you promotions galore. That's the best part, right? You get risk-free bets when you sign up. You got to use that promo code. Plus, they'll boost you, which is great because they're basically giving you better value than what the Vegas odds makers are giving you on the app. You can't go to those other apps. BetMGM, I've used them. They have the best boosts. They do. They give them to you consistently, and it is awesome. It is. And that's why they are the title sponsor on this morning show. BetMGM, promo code ATOZ Sports.
All right, so don't forget, A to Z Sports Picks, brought to you by BetMGM, is also this afternoon at 2 o'clock with our guy Alan Bell and Brian Edwards to help us get some winners for tonight's action. So I'm waiting to see what Alan and Brian say this afternoon before I make any picks. So that's at 2 o'clock with A to Z Sports Picks, presented by BetMGM. So here are the odds. I found this very interesting, that the favorite for the position for the Titans to draft in the first round is not wide receiver. It's not edge rusher. It's cornerback. At plus 225, Zach, corner is the betting favorite. Your thoughts?
It's like, I feel like it's like, what's that loser's name? Adam Stank. It's like him talking about something that he doesn't know. But Vegas, this is the hard part. Vegas usually knows. And so I kind of feel weird about it. I mean, you asked me how I feel. I feel weird because I don't think they're going to take a corner in the first round. So it's like, should I bet the other way? right? I think it's more wide receiver or defensive pass rusher. Now, defensive pass rusher split. Linebacker would be the bet for an outside pass rusher.
No, I looked at it because BetMGM has Ojulari as a linebacker. They have Phillips, Rousseau, and Pay as defensive line.
There you go. So that's the reason why. Look, smart by Vegas. You split them. So yeah, right. Austin, who are the? I mean, there's not a plethora of corners at the 22.
Newsom,
You know?
Greg Newsom out of Northwestern. That's probably who they're banking on, or Farley dropping. Like those are the two corner options. Like there's a lot more wide receiver options, but I do find it interesting that corner plus 225 the favorite.
Do they know something we don't know?
Vegas always does.
But what, they talk to John Robinson? How do they know that?
I don't know.
That's where I'm head scratching. The one thing Vegas did do, we know there are four top needs, and they have those in the top, right? You've got cornerback, wide receiver. They have offensive linemen just because probably they messed up last year, and then your defensive linebacker. The offensive lineman thing is funny. I think that's just lack of knowledge. They're not going to draft a tackle again, and if they do, God bless this show on Monday morning.
Yeah. No, Friday morning.
Yeah, Friday morning.
Friday morning.
And Monday morning. And Tuesday and Wednesday.
And the rest
Thursday.
of the summer. The rest of the summer. So I've got a little strategy, Zach. If we all want to hedge our bets and guarantee us a victory. Now there's obviously risk in this, but if you want to play this, quarterback plus 225. So you put $50 on corner, $50 on wide receiver, and $50 on D-line.
Not linebacker.
Not linebacker. Because linebacker is only Ojulari. Everybody else is D-line. Now, Barmore from Bama is also an option on that D-line too, right? So you put 50 on corner, wide out, and D-line. You spend 150. The least you'll profit if they take one of those three is like $15 for the corner, right? But you'll profit like 40 if they go wide receiver, and you'll profit 250 if they go D-line. So
you're rooting for D-line.
You're just rooting for any of the three, right?
Yeah, but you're really rooting for D-line because you win the most money.
Obviously, but I think that is how you hedge it. If you want to, you spend 150, your smallest returns like 12 to $15 if they take a corner. I think that's a smart way to play those odds right there. Now, the O-line thing could absolutely screw you.
And is that the security of no longer having Dennis Kelly and Jack Conklin and then Taylor Lewan's ACL?
Probably. And Saffold's aging.
Well, based on his Instagram
Jones,
picture, he's aging pretty well.
I know, right?
What is that? How much is that?
575, I think he said.
Deadlift?
Squat, right?
I can't remember. I thought
I'll look it up.
It's deadlift. No, it's deadlift because it looks like somebody, I don't know who this is. Credit.
There were squat and deadlift.
I saw the deadlifts because somebody photoshopped grocery bags, which I thought was fabulous. The caption was,
I'm looking it up. You give me some second. I'll be
only one trip, which is true. But so Saffold, Ben Jones, but they're not going to draft a center. So you draft in the first round, you draft a tackle. You don't draft a guard. So Saffold, the conversation is kind of actually moot.
700-pound deadlift.
Jesus.
400-pound floor bench press. He did high incline, 335 times 4.
I will say this about Roger Saffold. I've seen him in person, obviously covering the team. He had sleeveless shirt on after practice. He has the biggest arms I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like offensive lineman, like just big. You combine both of my arms, I still don't think that it equals his one arm.
I think the squat was 540.
It's just ridiculous.
565.
So back to the possibility of them drafting an offensive lineman. Is this something that we just don't see?
Well,
you don't just do the same thing you did twice.
Well, because you missed so poorly on the first one, you still have that need. So that's, I think, what Vegas is banking on. With O-line plus 325.
I think the best bet is defensive line.
Yeah, so do you want to hedge it? Do my 50-50-50 game?
I would probably not do 50-50. I would just put money in wide receiver and defensive line. And it's higher risk, right?
Right. Yeah.
But those are the two that I feel they are going to draft. It's just their biggest glaring need based on not only the holes in the roster, but the actions that we've seen this offseason.
Fair.
And the draft combined with the draft. The draft is very important. Like tight end is they're not taking a tight end in the first round. That's all. Even though they need tight end, they're not going to take a guy in the first round for that. So be smart. My advice would be bet. I like your hedge of the 30, but I don't think they're going corner either. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think they could. I think that's why I had the 3, because it's playing the favorite, the top 2 favorites, and then your middle long bet, right? Yeah. All right, Zach, you ready for trivia?
At this very second, no, but I will.
Okay. All right. Well, trivia, there's only one rule in sports trivia. We got 10 questions, no Googling. That's the rules. But first, Zach, tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go to get your new ride. WilsonCountyHyundai.com for their inventory. The 2021 Palisade, that is their full-size SUV. I saw one of those dominating the streets yesterday driving around. And let me tell you, everybody was clearing out of the way. Get out of the way. The Palisade's coming through. That's at least how I felt. But I kind of gave him a little nod. You know how, you see Harley Davidson guys, they kind of, stick that finger out like, hey, bro. I was a Hyundai guy. So, hey, we just kind of cruised along. I drive a Sonata. It's a great 4-door sedan. You can also check out the Elantra. But don't go anywhere else because they don't have the selection like Wilson County Hyundai. Quick trip down I-40, exit 236, or go online at WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
BetMGM, we just talked about the betting odds for the Titans' first-round draft pick. Also, A to Z Sports Picks. Coming up later today, 2 o'clock Central Time, so make sure your live notifications on for Alan Bell and Brian Edwards talking gambling for tonight. NBA, hockey action going on. A lot of good opportunity to win some money, and Brian and Alan will help you out and do that. They'll have picks for tonight's action and a lot of good streaks. Who's been streaking? Who's hot? And what to ride. So A to Z Sports Picks coming up at 2 o'clock, presented by BetMGM. Download the app, use our code ATOZ Sports for a risk-free bet up to $600 with your first deposit and your first bet right there with the BetMGM app. It is now time for sports trivia. Zach, we got 10 questions. No Googling. Trying to go 8-2. We're at 74% through 5 weeks right now with our trivia reset. So let's get this thing going.
First up, what is the first name of baseball's Killebrew?
Harmon.
I believe that is correct. Which is the first name of baseball's Killebrew?
Harmon, baby. Unless there's a lot of Killebrews.
Harmon Killebrew.
Yeah. I think we're good on that one. Harmon Killebrew, lock it in, final A to Z.
The correct answer is Harmon. That is correct. Next up, a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
Bayern Munich featured which company's logo on their 2014-2015 kits? So on their jerseys for the American. Bayern Munich featured which company's logo on their 2014-2015 kits?
You gonna talk about Super Leagues next? Oh man, I have no idea. This is where the chat is required. So, soccer guys, let's go.
ING? No. A bank? I don't know. A bank.
Ian's here from Scotland. He says, wait. We're waiting on you, Ian.
Well, don't Google.
No Googling.
No Googling.
Help.
Bayern Munich's featured which company logo on their 2014, 2015 kits?
A German beer? Ian says he has a Byron top. Are we waiting on Ian?
I mean, we're waiting on something, or
I have no idea. Oh, man. I also can't breathe right now. You can't hear. Oh,
we got to come up with something.
I know. I mean, do we pass? I mean, do we even, like, what's a German beer?
Heineken. It's not Heineken. I think it's a bank.
T-Mobile.
Is that what we're coming up with?
I say we go T-Mobile, final A to Z, whatever.
The correct answer is T-Mobile.
Oh, wow.
Somebody Googled that.
Well, no, that was from Ian. He said he went to go get the jersey.
Oh, he has the jersey.
He has the jersey, yeah.
Oh,
so that's,
okay.
That's clean.
That is actually clean.
Clean victory. 2-0. Okay.
NGL was what I was thinking of, Stacy. Another tough one. How many points did NBA point guard Damian Lillard score in his playoff debut in 2014? How many points did NBA point guard Damian Lillard, Dame time, score in his playoff debut in 2014? You would think it would have to be a lot instead of a little.
Like 41.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know. This is ridiculous. Like, there's no way we're gonna get this. So we might as well.
You would have said the same thing about if without Ian's jersey. We're kind of in the same boat as the last question. So don't bitch and moan about the questions.
I'm not bitching and moaning. I'm just saying, I don't know. 45, 35, 39, 23. Oh, man. I mean.
41, you started that.
Right. Do you have anything?
Say 40, even 40.
Okay, so let's just go with 40.
You want to lock it in?
Final A to Z, 40.
Oh, I was 9 points off. The correct answer is 31. Next question. We're 2-1?
2-1.
Who managed the Cincinnati Reds for the first time in 2008? So I have a first gut feeling. I don't know if this is right or not.
Okay.
Was this Dusty Baker?
Maybe.
So the question is, who managed the Cincinnati Reds for the first time in 2008?
I think Dusty Baker is probably right. I said we go Dusty Baker, final A to Z.
Okay. Well, you just hurried this along.
Yeah.
The correct answer, Dusty. Boom.
3-1.
I'll take that one. I will take that one. All right. Next question. Another baseball question, but I do not know. Who is the Major League Baseball player nicknamed the Flying Hawaiian? Now, we used to joke and kid around Marcus Mariota being the Flying Hawaiian. But who in the Major League Baseball, or who is the Major League Baseball player nicknamed the Flying Hawaiian?
Shane Victorino.
Is that it?
That's absolutely it, Ivan. Shane Victorino. Gotta be. And Tehran backs it up. Tehran and Ivan have been talking draft throughout the first 4 questions of trivia, and they both just chime in with Shane Victorino.
Well, do what you got to do, Austin.
Shane Victorino, final A to Z. Lock it in.
Correct answer, Shane Victorino.
Okay, off to a 4-1 start. I like this. Trivia, we got 5 more questions. Trying to go 4-1 back-to-back of these 10 questions. But first, let me tell you guys about Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, where one 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room because of full body electronic muscle stimulation. Guys, it is legit. The results are real because the science is real of full body electronic muscle stimulation. It's easy on your joints, no pressure on your joints, all on those muscles to build real functional strength. And that 15 minutes equals 5 or more hours in the weight room. First workout is absolutely free at mandu.com. Zach, 5 trivia questions left. Let's try to finish strong with another 4-1 stretch to get to 8-2.
All right, the next question. In 2012, Colin Kaepernick sets the all-time playoff game rushing record for a quarterback against who?
The Green Bay Packers.
Right? That's what it was. It was in San Francisco. Are we 100%?
It was in Green Bay.
It was in Green Bay?
Yes.
I'm thinking of the game the following year, which was a showcase game, probably based off of that game.
Because he had like a 50+ yard touchdown run on a zone read.
Are you 100%?
I mean, yeah, I feel very strong about this, and everybody else in the chat so far does too. Packers, final A to Z, lock it in.
The Packers is the correct answer. So very good.
TD says it was in San Fran. I thought it was in Green Bay.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the game Tehran's thinking of, and I think we're right.
Whatever. We got
2012. Well, now we got to do this. 2012 NFL playoffs.
Packers, Niners. What jerseys were they wearing, Zach?
I actually know this. 2012 divisional round, Packers at 49ers.
Damn.
I knew that. I knew it.
All right, so
Packers were wearing white over yellow, and traditional 49ers wearing red over gold.
5-1.
This is a question that I do not know. Oh, man, I lost it. Let's see. It has to do with swimming. Okay.
Well, it is Michael Phelps Day.
It is? Well,
yeah, it's 420.
Oh, is that it? How many swimmers are in a medley relay team?
First guess was 4.
How many swimmers are in a medley relay team?
I think it's 4. Most relays have 4, and that's what the chat says. 4. 4 final A to Z, lock it in.
The correct answer is 4.
All right. 6-1. I like it.
Let's see here. Oh man, this is gonna be tough. You're not gonna like this question, Austin. You're gonna be the What was the point differential in Super Bowl? I guess that's 58. No, that 48.
What's the Roman numeral?
XLVIII. XL is 40.
Yes.
So it's 40.
XLVIII.
Yeah.
3 I's. 40.
Yeah. February 2nd, 2014. What was the point differential in Super Bowl 48 played on February 2nd, 2014?
All right. Who was in that Super Bowl? Let's work through this thing.
That's kind of why I like the question. So, 2014.
2013 season.
So 2015 was Peyton Manning and the Carolina Panthers.
It was definitely Broncos Seahawks, Jeffrey. I think you're right. Where the Seahawks blow out the Broncos. It wasn't that like 48-19 or something to 9.
Ooh. Yeah, this is the New York Super Bowl. It was, well, wait. How did the Broncos score?
They scored a safety early in the game. I think it was something to 9.
How do you get to 9? Oh, okay. 9 with
They
the
had a
safety.
safety.
That makes 7 plus 2. 43-7. It's either
Titans Kyle said they had 8.
41.
45-8, Monsoon says. Did they not score a touchdown?
I don't think they did. He's saying 8?
Yeah.
How do you get to 8? 2-point conversion missed?
43-8.
It's 43. My gut is Seahawks had 43.
Tighten Up Ohio is screaming 35, which is 43-8. So I say we go 35. Is the
differential.
Yeah.
35 points.
Yes. Good teamwork, guys. Good job, Tighten Up Ohio. All right,
that was big.
That was good. That was good. So we are at 7-1 with 2 questions left.
Which team did Shaquille O'Neal finish his NBA career with in the 2010-2011 season? I have a gut feeling on this.
Cavs?
Which team did,
The Cavs?
I believe it's the Celtics.
I was also thinking of the Suns.
No, it's not the Suns. I think it's the Celtics.
The big cactus?
No, the big shamrock. I need some confirmation, though. Which team did Shaquille O'Neal finish his NBA career with in the 2010-2011 season? My gut is the Boston Celtics. He wore number 36.
All right. You feel good on Boston?
I do. I want somebody else to make me feel.
Well, Joshua says Celtics or Cavs. Monsoon, who lives up in the area, says, I think it was the Celtics. Monsoon finals.
I think it's the Celtics. Number 36, Shaquille O'Neal.
Right. Final A to Z, Boston Celtics.
The correct answer, the Boston Celtics.
Okay, guys. We're 8-1. Can we go 9-1? This is a big deal right here to get to 9-1.
All right. Let's see here. We have oh, okay. This is a tough one. I mean, we had a layup that I couldn't ask. I'll just go ahead and say, because it was so effing easy, is which team did NBA great Akeem Olajuwon play for?
Yeah,
we're not going to do that. We are instead going to say, do this. How high is the crossbar from the ground in a lacrosse goal?
Oh, I thought you were going to say field goal post.
How high is the crossbar from the ground to the lacrosse goal?
I want to say 5 feet, but I've never played lax. No lax, bro, here. I want to say 5 feet because the goalie can stand above it. Or maybe 4 feet. Rob says 4. Jeffrey says 5.
4? It can't be 4. It has to be 5, and it's not 6. I think 5 makes the most sense. Because those guys hover above it.
Yeah.
Not 4 feet, though.
Because what's a hockey goalie? Hockey goal crossbar.
That I have no clue.
5 feet is definitely, I think 5 foot is probably the best.
You want to lock it in?
Final A to Z, 5 feet. Missed it. Is it 4?
6.
Really?
6 feet is the correct answer.
So we missed that because we got some definitely not 6s.
That's what I said. I was like, that's what I thought. Definitely not 6. How are these lax goalies like 6'5"? Because it always feels like that thing they're taller than that.
Yeah.
Man.
Very strange.
8-2.
Yep.
Man, we should have listened to Stacy. What did Stacy?
So we are literally right
Stacy, we screwed ourselves. Stacy, 6 feet. All 3 of my kids play lax.
Oh, I didn't see the follow-up. Damn it.
So 8-2, not 9-1.
With our 8-2, we are right at 75%. 45 out of 60. So we get 4 weeks left to keep this pace.
That was a good day, though. Today's kind of like a week 13 game. Take care of business.
Yep. Took care of business. Did our job.
Take care of your business. Don't lose to the Cincinnati Bengals.
No. 31 points for Dame Lillard in his playoff debut. 6-foot lacrosse.
The 35-point differential I was pretty proud of.
Pretty clutch by you guys. All right, guys. Great show. We'll be live tomorrow morning on a Wednesday, throwing shade, maybe talking some Vols with their new quarterback tomorrow before we get back into the draft on Thursday, the Titans. We will see you guys later on. Have a good one.
Adios.